The college football postseason has officially arrived. So who's in, who's out? Does it make sense? And then, of course, nobody wants to participate in a bowl game in 2025. Anthony Totri, Eric Ruby from the PHNX Sun Devils show to, of course, break down what's going on in the Big 12. Starting with at the top of the list is the college football playoff bracket. Only one team from the Big 12 getting in, of course, Texas Tech getting a bye, which as Big 12 champs, we feel like that's justified. But BYU on the outside looking in. Fair, not fair?
You know, this is tough. There's a tweet that's been going on around out there that's like, you know, the college football playoff bracket expanding has all these teams acting like they're USC who like actually got snubbed. But like, you know, I think it's tough. And what I've really appreciated was BYU's socials approach to
1,000%.
and going out there and being like, hey, here are the facts. Here's what's going on. I do think BYU deserved a spot in there. You're only 2 losses on the season coming to the number 4 seed in the playoffs. And then, like, it's also, you hear the rationale from, like, a Kirk Herbstreit or from other people. It's like, oh, Alabama's loss doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But BYU's is the nail in the coffin. I do think that they deserve to get in there. I don't think any ACC team deserved to be in the playoffs. I think even Notre Dame deserved less to be in the playoffs than BYU. And you look at like other teams that made it, you're just like, okay, look, SEC, all of that, I get it, right? And that's the atmosphere that we're in now.
Yeah.
BYU should have been in the playoff. And you're looking at 2 guys who have not been loving the BYU experience all year. But, I mean, do you agree with what I have to say, that the Big 12 deserves 2 teams in the CFP?
I think they definitely did. I think, again, like a lot of the conversation leading into this game and every year when you get to conference championships is like, oh, they won't be penalized, right? You won't be penalized for playing in a conference championship.
Well, apparently if you're BYU, you
BYU, it feels like, got penalized for a game that really slipped away from them at the end, specifically in that second half to Texas Tech. Meanwhile, Alabama doesn't get penalized at all for getting embarrassed by Georgia, right? Yeah. And I disagree with it. I think, again, if you look at what Alabama has been as a team the last couple of weeks prior to the SEC championship game, they really struggled against a really, really mid-Auburn team. And you can say what you want about rivalries, whatever. Still, if you're a college football playoff team, you got to take care of business. And ultimately, they got the win, but they didn't look good doing it. They didn't look good against Georgia. I would have much rather seen a BYU team that had a better strength of schedule in my mind, or a strength of record, I believe, overall than some of the teams that did get in. I thought BYU certainly deserved to get in.
Well, and the thing with like Bama, if we want to just talk about that specifically, was that game was over well before the BYU-Texas Tech game was over. I mean, obviously, once things kind of fell apart for BYU, well, they fell apart for BYU. But it was very quick, and it was a much later in the game where it was Georgia. It was immediate ass-kicking, right? Plus, then you look at the first game of the season for Alabama and getting blown out by Florida State.
Yeah.
Okay, and then a loss in the middle of the season, and now you lost to Georgia. And so, like, look, is Alabama a team that's going to be competitive in these playoffs? I'm sure that there's a chance, right? But I think BYU would have been competitive as well. There's a chance that Texas Tech goes and wins this whole thing.
Yeah, I think that's a real possibility.
I think it's a very real possibility. And if BYU, their only losses of the season are to Tech in that way, like that, it's a tough pill to swallow, especially when you look at Miami who gets in, and it's like, okay. And I'm not the type of guy who wants the group of 5 people out. I love that James Madison.
It's an interesting argument.
I like it. I like that they're in. I get why it would be frustrating to people, but at the end of the day, like, you could expand to 16 teams. You do whatever you want. People are still going to be upset.
Yeah, I think there are more people, honestly, that are upset about like a Miami getting in, right?
Sure.
Because there was the conversation about, should it be Notre Dame? Should it be Miami? And that kind of leads us to the next part of it, right? Where Notre Dame doesn't get in the playoff. They opt not to participate in bowl season, really, at all, getting a bowl game bid. So that obviously has a massive ripple effect on what goes down, kind of the rungs in college football. And then you look specifically, again, getting back to the Big 12, a number of teams not accepting bowl bids. Iowa State, Kansas State. Now, again, I think there's a heftier argument for those teams not accepting because they're undergoing coaching changes, right? You look at Kansas State, their coach retired. Matt Campbell at Iowa State went to Penn State. You look at teams like a UCF or a Baylor that were invited to bowl games because other teams really declined them. And they said, hey, we're not going to go to a bowl game, right? So I think you're starting to see that trend in college football now. Of course, Arizona State did accept their bowl invitation. They'll be playing the ACC champs Duke in the Sun Bowl on December 31st. But Eric, I feel like there's a conversation to be had now more than ever as it relates to the college football postseason, not even the playoff, but given the calendar, given the transfer portal window, given coaching changes at this time of year, like, are we starting to see the slow death of bowl season as it stands now?
Absolutely. Yeah, slow, brutal death of bowl season. Like Tony the Tiger, I'm sorry, but
you're not Tony. Not Tony.
No, look, here's the thing, right? Is that I understand why teams would opt out of a bowl game in theory with today's day and age. Now, I also understand when people want to sit back and be like, well, that's BS.
Yeah.
That's not how we used to do things. Well, that's because you're right. That's not how we used to do things. People used to take pride in their bowl games and to be able to play another game for their college. But again, we talked about this on our main show. Like every personal player is an individual business, right? And if all the players come together and say, for the sake of our personal business, we don't want to play, then what are you going to do about that, right? To me, yes, there needs to be a rescheduling. We've been talking about that with all the coaching stuff. And then, of course, now with the portal opening in the middle of the college football playoffs.
Doesn't make sense.
It all doesn't make sense. I'm not here to tell you the answer for the schedule. I'm here to give you another solution for bowl games.
Okay.
More money. Like that's, I'm sorry, that's the way.
More money is for who?
For everybody.
For everybody.
More money for the school.
For me?
And then a personal financial incentive for the winners and the participants of a bowl game.
Is it similar to, are you thinking the way the NBA has the NBA Cup?
Agreed. Agreed, as in yes, that's what I was trying to say. Like the NBA Cup, you look at it and it's like, guys play harder for that. Whether people want to joke about it or not, like guys play harder because guess what? There's actual money on the line. We're talking like $500,000 if you win the entire thing.
Which would mean a lot more, I think, to college football athletes than it would to NBA
and
players.
I think for different bowls right now, for like the Pop-Tart Bowl, which is one of the more premier bowls, that's going to give you a little bit more money. There's more sponsorship. There's more eyes. There's more money to give around versus, a smaller bowl. Okay, maybe not as much. But I do think that they need to have these things where it's like, look, like Notre Dame, you're in a position where you don't make the college football playoffs. You get invited to a premier bowl. There are lots of incentives for you to play, right? There's an incentive for you to play financially from an administrative perspective. Maybe you get a boost to your NIL donated from Senior Pop-Tart himself.
Senior Pop-Tart.
Wow. Maybe each individual player gets $20,000 if you win, $5,000 if you lose.
Yeah.
Right? Again, there has to be something there beyond the schedule, especially for if you want these top-end players to play in bowls, which let's also be honest here, top-end players have been sitting out of bowl games for quite some time.
Yeah, 1,000%.
That was when everything really started.
Well, I think that was like a big part of the change of the playoff, right? Where it's like, okay, well, you're going to get less people to sit out now because there's more teams that make the playoffs.
Correct,
and now you get to the bowl games and teams and programs are just completely opting out of bowl games. Some schools taking $500,000 fines from their conferences to not play in some of these
So they're
games.
willing to sacrifice that money? How much money do you think it takes for them to play a bowl game? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm with you. But look, I don't have the right answer. I think a lot of college football, as it stands right now, it's trending in the right direction, right, with NIL, et cetera. But I think it's still currently a mess. The college football calendar needs to change, not just the bowl season, not just maybe the start of the actual season, but the transfer portal window, early signing period, actual signing day. It all needs to be changed. The question is, well, how is it going to get done? Is it going to get done? And when is it going to get done? Let us know in the comments. Hit that like button. Hit the subscribe button. And for all your news and notes as it relates to the Arizona State Sun Devils, make sure you give the show a follow at PHNX _Sun Devils.